Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, I want to welcome you, everyone, to our 5th annual meeting of the United Nations Network on Migration.
As the UN system prepares for the summit of the future, the speakers will discuss network planned actions for the future and recommendations to take forward. Let me call upon our first panelist, Mohammed. Mohammed is a mobility analyst in disaster and displacement in the Intergovernmental Authority on Development and Climate Prediction Application Center at the IGAD Secretariat. The question that Mohammed is going to address is in the areas that are the climate-related risks. How can disaster displacement management be enhanced, and what lessons have been learned from programs supporting community members to access sustainable livelihoods and decent green employment? Over to you, Mohammed.
Thanks a lot, moderator, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to join this panelist and participate this meeting, the 5th annual meeting of the UN Network on Migration. Let me take you briefly on the background, the IGAD region. The IGAD region is one of the most diverse regions in the world, including areas of economic growth and investment on one hand, but also in areas of prone of conflict and political instability, humanitarian crisis, and disasters on the other hand. The IGAD region is regarded one of the most vulnerable to climate variability and change. Countries in the region are regularly affected by the slow onset disasters, but also rapid and extreme weather climatic processes and events, mostly environmental and land degradation, drought, water level changes, rainfall variability, food floods, landslides, and storms. These events negatively impact the ecosystem, crop yields, habitable areas, livelihoods, jobs, and infrastructure. The complex relationship between climate change, livelihoods, labor markets, and human mobility in the IGAD region is complex and context dependent. Various forms of human mobility, including displacement, migration, and planned relocation, are influenced by diverse drivers and structural factors, compelling individuals to leave their homes. Anticipated population growth, environmental changes, and the increase in the frequency of climate-related hazards are expected to escalate migration and displacement in the coming years. Key figures in the IGAD region highlight the substantial impact of human mobility, with 6.3 million international migrants, 16.9 million internally displaced people, and 4.9 million refugees and asylum seekers. Additionally, 3.1 million individuals have been newly displaced by disasters, underscoring the vulnerability to environmental events in the region. The economic also contribution is for the migrants who are abroad are 8.8 billion inward remittances in 2021, for example, and 3.4 million migrant workers in 2019, emphasizing the economic role of labor migration. These figures collectively depict the multifaceted nature of human mobility in the IGAD region, encompassing voluntary and forced movements along with economic contributions. The region's demographic landscape reflects the dynamic nature of human mobility. The IGAD regional strategies recognizes mobility as both an opportunity and a concern for development. Strategic interventionist priorities include free movement of persons, transhumans, youth skilling, decent work, and basic services. Notably, the IGAD Council of Ministers adopted the Free Movement of Persons Protocol in 2021 with specific provisions for disaster situations. The Djibouti Declaration on Labor, Employment, and Labor Migration has been also adopted, and the Kampala Ministerial Declaration on Migration, Environment, and Climate Change also further demonstrates regional leaders' urgency and commitment addressing these issues. On the MPTF joint program that has been implemented in IGAD with a budget of 2.15 million was a partnership between International Organization for Migration, the International Labour Organization, the Platform on Disaster Displacement hosted under the UNOPS, and the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. It was a joint program together with IGAD Secretariat, including the IGAD Climate Prediction and Application Center and the member states of IGAD, including Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Uganda. The program was organized across 4 pillars: data and knowledge, national and regional policy frameworks, disaster displacement, preparedness, and regular migration pathways. In particular, efforts were directed toward strengthening evidence-based and inclusive policymaking, increasing preparedness for disaster displacement, improving access to information on migrant rights and environment preservation, as well as increasing access to sustainable livelihood and green jobs. The key achievements and lessons learned include strengthening evidence-based and inclusive policymaking. The program prioritized evidence-based policymaking by collecting and analyzing data on climate change's impact on human mobility across regions. It also commissioned studies, produced recommendations integrated into climate change, disaster, and development frameworks, tested and refined through pilot projects in Kenya and Somalia. Regionally, the program strengthened government's disaster displacement capacity, offering insights into future scenarios and creating decision-making model for flood-related displacement. Also, workshops and platforms like the Greater Horn of Africa Climate Outlook Forum facilitated knowledge sharing and gathering. The program also has supported increased preparedness on disaster displacement and increased access to sustainable livelihoods and green jobs. But also the program has contributed migrant workers improved access to information and rights and environmental preservation. And also, finally, the program addressed cross-cutting elements, including gender, human rights, and whole of society approaches. In conclusion, the final external evaluation of the Multi-Partner Trust Fund joint program at IGAD region indicated proof of concept of the program, with many of the activities showing promise for scaling up if future interventions incorporate the lessons learned and best practices. There is also a demand to build on the 4 pillars and replicate these approaches across the region. While celebrating achievements, challenges in sustainability persist. Knowledge and skills transfer to regional institutions, such as integrating displacement data into ICPAC services, has been a key success. To ensure the lasting impact of these efforts, ongoing support is crucial. especially as local entities take ownership. Sustainable funding and continued capacity building are essential to empower IGAD governments in effectively addressing the complex interplay of migration, climate change, and disasters. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. I think the multifaceted nature of human mobility in the IGAD region, Eastern Africa, I think has been highlighted, both the policy frameworks, evidence base, and achievements, and also the way forward, looking forward within the context of the GCM have been highlighted. I